Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eve, and today we are going to dive into one of the most powerful and often misunderstood Linux security component, PAM or Pluggable Authentication Module. So if you are a system administrator, security enthusiast, or you are just curious to know how PAM handle authentication, this video is for you, and let's get started. First of all, I would like to define PAM. So actually PAM is a framework which gives you diverse options when you want to handle authentication in any application. For example, you are building a software which needs to have authentication feature, whether it is username and password, 2FA, or using LDAP. So instead of building that feature already in your application, you can just put LDAP, you can just put PAM, on top of your application, and you will already have all those kind of authentication in your application and will not have to customize application when you need to incorporate new authentication method. The second point which I would like to tackle is the configuration file of PAM. So actually the configuration defines how PAM handles authentication. So actually there are two kinds of configuration which you can have, or it depends on the distribution which you are using. So if you are on all distribution, you will find a file named pam.conf, and on most recent distro, there is just a directory which contains configuration for each service which are using PAM actually. So I'll go on my terminal and show you what exactly I'm talking about. As you can see on my screen, I'm already connected on a server where I'll perform all the practice, and I'll go right away and show you what exactly I'm talking about, the configuration file. So actually I will go as root user and enter the password. And like I was saying, for most recent distribution, you will find configuration of PAM in a directory named pam.d. And if I do ls-l, and here you will find all services which are using PAM actually. So you can see we have a login. So this is the service which is called when you are logging directly from the terminal of your server. So I will see, as I'm running the virtual box, and that refers to the virtual box terminal here. So when I go here and enter the password, behind the scene is this login service configuration file is used, and for SSH service is this one which is used, and for SU is this one, sudo is this one, and so on and so forth. So actually that is the place where configuration of PAM are currently stored on most recent distribution, and I will go right away and show you what exactly is inside of that directory, that file So I will just show you one of the files. So I'll go with the login file. So as you can see, all configuration file have the same shape or have the same structure. So we have different record on each line, and each record have a specific structure. So we have we have 4 parts. So we have firstly we have the type of module which you are using, and in the second position we have the flag which is affected to that module, and the third one is the module, and as a fourth argument to each record is the argument part. So here, for example, here we have close, which is not a module name but the argument to the module PAM SE Linux. So like I was saying, we have the type of module which is used, the control flag, the module as well, and the argument or the configuration of that module. And I will go and explain different kind of module type which we can have. So actually we can have auth type. So this one is the module which is used when we have to authenticate the user. So whenever we have to ask user information to identify him or to provide the username and password, this is when that is happened. The second one, which is account. So account check the policy of your login or your authentication method. For example, you have set up a time-based login, so that will be performed during the account module type loading. The third one, which is password. So this one is invoked or is executed when the user want to change the password. So anytime the user have to change the password or to reset the password, that is where the module of type password is involved. And the last one, which is session. This one is anytime the user is logged in, the session open, and when anytime the user close the session or logged out, that session module type is involved as well. So that is all the kind of module type or the use case of each module type. In second position, we have the control flag. So the purpose of the control flag is to define how the result or the result of the execution of that module or a specific record will be treated or will be considered in the authentication process. So we have, for example, required. This means when this module executed, if it failed, the entire authentication module, the authentication process will be considered as failed and the user will not be able to log in. And we have also optional. This one doesn't do anything special. So whether it is present or not, it will not affect your result, but it only take in consideration when the service or the configuration of that specific service has only one record and is the optional record. But if there is other record with different kind of flag, actually it will not take in consideration. That it will be like it not present. The other one is sufficient, but here it is not present, so I'll show you here in SSH. So it is not present here, so I'll just do grep sufficient in any file. So the other type of control flag is sufficient. So this one, whenever it is present, if that record succeed the checking with the module which is called on that record, if it succeeded, the entire authentication process will be considered as success. So it will not go through the all the remaining process. You will just consider it succeed and that will be all. So that's all about the control flag. And now I will go on my terminal and show you few practice, like limiting the user to have a short password or to create user which log in only at a given time or the time which we specify or in our configuration. So I will start with creating a user. So actually I'm logging as Eva and I want to create other user which I will restrict access based on time. So I will create new user add Garrett, and I will set directly the password. I'll set the password, open SSL, pass WD. and -6 password, and I will add another user as well. This one will be Margaret. So I have two users, and I want, for example, to limit user Garrett to, so I'll check the time actually, time.ctl. So it is almost local time is 0:19. So I'll go and restrict the user Garrett to log in from the local console of the hypervisor and allow him to only access via SSH anytime you want, but not on the console actually. So actually, if I go here and try like Garrett and enter the password, you can see I'm logging as Garrett, and I'll try again with SSH as well. SSH -L Garrett 172.25.250.105 and enter the password. So in both scenarios, whether I'm using the console or I'm using SSH, I'm able to connect, and we want to restrict that. So for that, I will go here, and whenever you want to restrict time, you want to restrict access to user based on time, there is a PAM module. So I'll just check here. I'll just call man-k PAM. Nothing, so mandb, just to load all my documentation, because this was a very clean server which I created just for this practice. Just wait for it to complete. Okay, and now I'll try man-k PAM. So as you can see, there are many PAM modules actually, and the one which we are looking is PAM time. This one, PAM module for time control access. And if you go and check that module, PAM time, you can see module for time control access, and you can check the configuration file. Actually, the default one is here, and I will go there and specify the restriction which I said I want the Garrett user to only be able to log in via SSH and not via the shell or the terminal of my hypervisor. In my case is VirtualBox. So I'll just go here and edit security time.conf and go at the end and enter here Garrett, not Garrett. I will start with login. So as you can see in this file, each record is like this. So you specify the service which you want to restrict the user or to give the user access to, and after that we specify the terminal and the user as well, and the time at which it will affect the time at which you want to perform control based on time. And in my case, I go at the end. So the service, when you are, like I was explaining previously, when you are logging here, you are calling the login service, which call the login file inside of PAM.d directory. And here I'll just do any terminal, and I will do user is Garrett, and I want to restrict, so I don't want Garrett to be able to log in there. So just do here and add all, write it and save. And now if I go here and try, actually it will not work. It will still working because I haven't performed some change. So if I do Garrett and enter password, I'm still able to connect. But to fix that, I'll have to go in the login file, configuration of login service, and here I will add the term-based control flag. So here you can see the system auth file is included in this file. So instead of editing this one, I'll just go and edit that one. vi system.auth-auth, and I'll just put it before this one, see account, because the time-based access is performed during with the module type account. And here I will add PAM underscore time.so and write and save that. And after that, I can go here, exit, and do Garrett and enter the password. As you can see, permission denied. And if I go here and do tell etc, not etc var log secure, you can see here PAM time, not bad time, and for the user, not for the user Garrett, but it said permission denied. So actually we restrict that for Garrett. And if I go back here and try with SSH again, password, I'm still able to connect. Before, the restriction which we provided, it was only for the login services, not the SSH. If I want to perform that for the SSH service as well, I have to specify it inside of the file of SSH as well. So if I go here, you can see here the SSH file is here. So in this case, I will not apply it for Garrett. I will leave it for Margaret, the second user. So I'll just go here, vi etc time security time, go at the end, Margaret, no, SSD, comma dash Margaret. I don't want Margaret to be able to connect via SSH, but I want Margaret to be able to connect via the terminal as well. And in this time, if I try here Margaret and enter the password, it will still work because I haven't applied to the SSH the service file. So I'll go here and vi etc vi sssd, and here we can see we are called this time is the password auth file, which is included in this time. So I'll just exit this one and go and edit the password auth file and include account require PAM underscore time.so, write it and save. And if I check again, etc security time. So for Margaret, we want to restrict Margaret access via SSH. So if I go here and exit, change Garrett with Margaret, and enter the password, which is password, connection closed. And if I do here tell var log secure, you can see here it said access denied for user Margaret by PAM account configuration. So but if I go here, exit, and do Margaret and enter the password, As you can see, the restriction depend on the service you are using. When you are applying the restriction on SSH, that doesn't affect other services. So if you want to affect both services, you must update each services file and import the module time for it to take consideration the configuration which you provided in your configuration file. That was the example of using time-based access control. And now I will go and show you how to increase the length of the password and to restrict user when they provide password with few characters or the password is short than your company policy. So for that, we have to check the PAM documentation to know which module that handle password based on the length or any criteria. So here I'll go and do man -k, check again PAM, and if you check here, we can see, we can check, and there is, as you can see, there is the module PAM quality which perform password quality checking, and that's exactly the module which we want actually. So I'll go and show you the content or the documentation of that data module PassW quality. So PAM module to perform password quality checking, and as you can see, we can perform the checking based on palindrome, case change, similarity, and there is many keyword which we can add here, but in our case we want just to restrict based on length. By default, if you know the default password of length on Linux is 8 characters, so I'll just mean len in etc security, and it is which file, so I'll just check, double check, and the password is PassW quality. So actually this directory is the directory which contains all configuration file which affect PAM module. So if you have a module which are within any configuration, you can add that configuration in a file related to that module inside of the etc security, or you can put that directly in the service configuration file inside of the pam.d directory. So in my case, I will go and put the restriction directly in the configuration file. So here I'll go and edit the, we want to put that, I want just to put that for the login save service and vi login, and here, as we already know, it's import the service file which contain other directive. So I'll go here and v system-out, and I'll go here, and on password quality I'll just put it at the end or before that one, and put min len equal 12. So actually this one is, it's applied only to when you are logging on the shell and not on the via SSH. So I'll go here and do the change actually, and try to change the password for user Margaret, for example. So I'll do echo, not echo, so I'll do passwd Margaret and enter like root. You'll see here it says bad password, and password is shorter than 12, but it's still work. So this doesn't restrict the user for specifying the short password, but in my case I want the user to not be able to specify a short password, but to only have passwords which have 12 characters or above that. And for that I have to perform few changes. So for that I'll just go here again and vi etc, not that one, so I'm already in that directory, and I'll go here and perform just a small change. So actually PAM quality, not this one, it is system auth. So why did that actually pass and not restrict the user the password? So as you can see here, we have like I was saying previously, we have the module type password, and we have the control flag which define how the result of the execution of that module is considered in the overall of the authentication process. And in this case we have requires it. So whenever we have requires it, it must succeed it, but whenever it fails, that doesn't block the execution of the rest of the module. And as this one failed, the PAM Unix module will still be executed, and as there is a fail prior to the execution of that module, it will not consider the authentication process has failed, but it will succeed as when the user provide the password, it will be considered as valid. But if we want it to be considered as failed when the user provide a short password, we must change here, and we must change this one into required. So whenever we put sufficient, so this one, because this one was the quality check failed actually, but this one, when the password provided by user is correct and this said it's sufficient, when it's sufficient, it doesn't need to know the other result. It's considered that the only result of the module which is executed right now. So to make this required, so we change it to required. That means there should not be any prior or previous failed in the authentication process. So I'll just do that and try and exit, and now I'll try again to change the password and enter. Oh, maybe I put an error somewhere. PAM requires it. Required. So actually the password still work and it's not blocked actually, even though there is a message which say that the password was short and not 12 character. The password, the user are able to specify the password and continue. But what I really want actually is to block the user to provide short password and only to provide long enough password for that to succeed. And for that I have to perform few changes, and the change actually I have to perform inside of the system auth file actually. So here we have the control flag, like I was saying previously on the beginning of this video. So the control flag defines how the result of the execution of the module is considered in the overall treatment of the authentication process. For example, for requisite, whenever the module execution failed, that doesn't block the rest of the module to execute it. So for example, when we provide a short password, even though it failed, this module will still be executed, and because it is executed and the data is sufficient, that will allow the change of the password to go through. But if I want to restrict that, I have to change the set of this line and put it into required. So whenever it is required, that must succeed, and there should not be any prior fail or any failing during the authentication process. So I will save it and we'll try again. Password Margaret, password, and it still work actually. So maybe I make a mistake here. So it is not this one, requires it, but it is on this one, required. Okay, right and exit and try again. Password. So I'll check again. So I'll check the why it's still failing. So just here, required. So actually it still failed. I'm just trying to troubleshoot and know why it's failing, and so I'll go here, just check a few things. Password quality, it is requires it. So that is normal, and this one is required. So I'll just check tell etc var log secure and user my position to migrate, and if I do passwd Margaret change authentication. So for sure I made a mistake instead of that file, so I'll go here, just check it. So just sufficient, and just put it back like it was previously. Password, which is short, and now I'll try to update it correctly. Login, password includes system auth. Okay, system auth, And now what we have to change actually mainline, that's exact, and requires it first of all quality So I've tried few changes and different tests on my dev VM, and I'm still getting some error, and actually I will try to troubleshoot it more and try to figure out what exactly is blocking the password changing. So if I show you here, I'll specify I change it to required and requires it, but I'm still getting an error. If I try to change the password, or maybe I can try just yes, and if I try passwd eve, Maybe I'll just try to reboot now and see what it will do. So actually, I'm facing an issue which, when I try to set a min length of the password, it doesn't work. So I've tried several methods to fix it and haven't found a, a result actually. So I'll keep investigating and try to find exactly what is blocking the min length to pass. But as well, you have already see how you can set the min length for your password, and that was exactly what I want to share with you in this video. So if you found this video helpful and interesting, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Linux and system administration content. And in the meanwhile, stay safe and keep learning.